So God knows whether the baby is his. I really don't know to this day. And I didn't think to ask her because at that point, I still believed that it was just her baby with somebody else and he was just seeing her. Who knows? We move on. We have, honestly, like the dating bit went so fast because I suppose it's like what people say, desperate to have a baby. He was desperate to move in and desperate to get married. So we started looking for a house and put my house on the market. And this had massive red flags because we would look at really expensive houses and I kept making it transparent. Well, I can only put this much because of the sale of my house. But he was like looking at these massive glamorous houses, which I think he just does to try and like, well, number one, he can probably afford them. But number two, he has no intentions of ever paying for those kinds of things. So we crack on and we buy a house and we get engaged. And we carry on with the IVF stuff. But I realised quite quickly that it's going to be a lot to go through IVF. And I've already got 2 children and so has he. So I pulled out of the IVF and it might possibly be because I already kind of start working it out. And there were weird things with the IVF as well, which I won't go into on here. From his side, pull out of the IVF and we decide to go down the fostering route. How much more of this story I can tell, because saying it out loud, I just feel like the biggest idiot ever, because it's just fucking crazy when you think about it. Honestly, like if you knew who he was and who he really is, this is just nuts. And I cannot believe that people around him weren't more emphatic about saying this is fucking nuts. We move on. So we're engaged, we decide that we're going to get married and we buy this house. And he does do a phenomenal job because of what his main career is at getting people in to completely gut this house and do it up. And it became apparent quite quickly, really, that once I was actually living with him and he owned the house with me, that he completely flipped who he was. So he'd gone from like really sort of like not worrying about money to like doing whatever. Bearing in mind, he lived in my house and didn't pay me anything because I just not like that. So he lived in my house, and don't get me wrong, he did buy food and he did pay for holidays and stuff like that. But he never like paid my mortgage or paid my bills. And at this point, I wasn't earning loads. I wasn't earning loads at all. I was a part-time midwife, so 24 hours a week. As my youngest, Phoenix, was only, I think at this point, maybe 6. Like young, and Isaac would have been like 10 or 11. So I wasn't working loads and the income wasn't brilliant. Suddenly I was paying him money towards the mortgage, because now it's apparently quite clear that he possibly takes a mortgage because he doesn't need to, so that his money's protected when he leaves. That's my take on it. For it, he's there on this TV programme earning hundreds. He's renting his house out, getting thousands for it. He's changing his car at the rate of knots, from Porsches to Range Rovers to whatever he feels like brand new. And my clapped out Golf is on the drive. And I'm there giving him what I was paying for my mortgage in my last house and paying all the bills. Now, don't get me wrong. I know if he was listening, he'd be like, yeah, but I paid loads. And he kind of did and he didn't, because what he did was, so he'd go to the shop and buy the stuff to make a meal. I'd do the massive weekly shop. I was freaking drowning money-wise. I paid off all my debts by moving in with him and selling my house. And all of a sudden, my credit card was building back up because I couldn't even freaking live. I was like, I can't afford this house.